The Immovable Race 3. The Reality of Light Beings, a Novel, and Trilogy by Ean Mikale. Chapter title: Sleep. Most are asleep, but for those who are awake, these higher vibrations are for you, and you alone. For it is you, and those like you, that the change and transition into a higher order shall occur. In groups, is it not true that a few often carry the many? So do not worry that your followers are few, for it is often but a few who move the masses. Chapter title: Shambhala. It seemed like we had been climbing and pushing the full extent of ourselves for days. I had even lost track of how much time had passed since we had last left the cave. We were making our way on a steep and narrow cliff that was barely wide enough for the donkey and I to track forward upon one foot in front of the other. And as I led the beast behind me, ever so cautiously, trying my best not to look down as we sought to overcome the mountains. It was then that I heard the animal let out a loud cry as it lost its footing, and tumbled over the edge, almost taking me with it. And as the only friend I had, since who knows when, disappeared into the darkness below, I became full of sorrow, as I heard a loud thud, and the screams of the poor beast became no more. It was then that I knew its fate. Teary-eyed, I was steadfast and determined not to just leave my friend. Additionally, there were still supplies attached to the deceased animal that was of importance, including the stone. And so after hours of carefully climbing down into the ravine, I looked down at the animal responsible for saving me, and sacrificing itself, in such a dangerous journey. And while I was blurry-eyed, saying my last goodbyes to my friend, looking straight in front of me, was a small opening between two tall and defined rocks. And as my blurry vision became clear, it almost appeared as a portal to another world, starkly differing from the hell I had lived in and endured. So I was mysteriously drawn to it, full of curiosity. I made my way, holding my head high. Chapter title: The God King. Through the narrow passage that was surrounded by the rock walls, a light penetrated through the darkness. And as an eerie but familiar sensation overcame me again, I was attracted to the light, and at the end of that tunnel of light, I was blinded by the day, and the warm sun shone on my face. And when my eyes had finally adjusted, I could not believe the sight before me. I saw a valley with a winding river as clear as a cloudless sky, and all was green, as if the valley had become alive. And in the middle of the valley was a tall tower, that appeared as crystal, and I know what it was, the tower the underground king had spoken of. And so I made my way down the faces of the rock cliff. And I found a way over the river. And before long, I arrived at the base of the large crystal tower. And two large doors opened, as if expecting me. And expecting someone to greet me, there was no one that appeared. So following my heart, I proceeded inside of that mysterious crystal tower. And I passed through an empty court. And I proceeded down a long hall with high ceilings and columns, that was also made of crystal, but that had mysterious writings on the walls. And there was a courtyard, where I could hear many voices, as if some great happening were in occurrence. And so I finally reached the courtyard. I saw there were a multitude of beings, who were indescribable. They were beings of light. I was unaware if they were angels, or light, or fatigue, playing with my mind. And there was a large part in the multitude of beings, that led to a protruding structure made of gold. And this structure that was more than the height of my breast, pulled me to it, as if possessing magnetic qualities. And so I stepped out into the courtyard, and paid no mind to the beings, as they watched with awe. And approaching the golden structure, I could see that it was a mysterious stone that protruded from the middle of the structure. Not that far away, sat a great being that shined of many colors. And his height was great, and his presence overpowering, And as I stood there, he called out to me, and he spoke to me, through my mind. Who are you, stranger? You have come to stumble upon my realm. Where am I? I asked. You are in the center of my kingdom. A kingdom that is known as Shambhala. Only those that are pure, and those that have the highest vibrations, and those whose actions are actions of a benevolent soul. You must walk the path, more than you speak it. You have made it this far, which means you are different. How you differ, I cannot readily tell, but you are different nonetheless. What is it that has brought you here? What is it that you seek? And who are you? I am Nahir. And the multitudes gasped. I am the son of Moshe. And there was a loud chatter that echoed around the courtyard. Moshe is dead, said the God King. It is true that he is no longer a part of this world, but he is not dead. Quite the contrary, I said. He is more alive than you and I in this physical realm. And the God King paused as if accepting my words. What are you searching for? I am searching for hope. I am looking to discover a way, a path, my own destiny, so that I shall not run from it, but that I shall embrace it. I seek to defy myself, and my own disbeliefs about what is possible and what is impossible. I wish to save the garden from the pests that have infiltrated it. I seek to create a way to save the garden from the pests and the virus that has overwhelmed much that is there. I am looking for help, for there is darkness that has covered the world. That is darkness that has covered the garden. And so I am hoping that you will aid me in my battle, that you will provide me with protection, so that we may finish what we have begun, that we may successfully save the crops. And why? Why must I trust you? For such mysteries are sacred, and only a few are knowledgeable of escaping from the clutches of your reality, in your own mind. I've lost everything, and all I have is this. And from my pocket I proceeded to pull out the stone I received from the underground king. And there were cries among the light beings of surprise. Then the God King stood up, spellbound. And looking at the rock in the middle of the golden structure, I noticed that there was a missing piece. And sizing up the rock that I possessed, I slid the rock into place, and the whole valley began to shake. And I held onto the structure to solidify my place. But as soon as the rumbling had subsided, the God King approached me, and he told me, "We will fight for you. It is time for our armies to be released. It is but through the last days that such mysteries would even be possible. We shall send all the legions of spirits to aid you. For we have been waiting for the one to activate us through higher frequencies. And we shall cleanse the world of its evil. And we shall give you hope into what you seek. It is only near your world's end that such hope is necessary more than ever. And it would be my pleasure to provide you with just that. And so we shall gird you up with supplies, and a camel, and we shall send you on your way. And at the right time, if you call on us, we shall arise, and we shall come. But it is important that during that time, your thoughts, your words, your deeds, remain pure. And I believe you will be surprised at the effectiveness of your design. You are great beyond what is conceivable. Your light extends beyond spectrums that are visible. And now is the time, for there is one moment that you shall accomplish your intentions, for I know that you seek to escape. That you will take those that are chosen. And how many shall you take? 144,000. I responded. Ah! Exclamation, said the God King. Whatever you need, I shall provide you with, and I shall guarantee your safe passage, not only through this land, but beyond, because what you seek to accomplish, not only impacts this life, but many evolutions of galactic civilizations. You are the momentum in the swing of a pendulum. And now it is time to fully activate those gifts, which you have been endowed. but your day is coming soon. It is almost time for the sun to rise, and for the star Sirius to do likewise, which only occurs one time a year. And with this stellar alignment between our world and Sirius, not only have we been bombarded with multiple spectrums of light, there is opportunity that we see through the particular collaborations. So remain pure in heart, and do not forget those things that you have been told. For you are destined for life to be among the stars. But do not forget about those who do not have the same gifts as you. Do not become full of your ego. You must be humble if you are to win this war. You have 10 days left, and your travel to Egypt shall take you 3 days. And that leaves you with 7 days only to get ready for what is to come, on the 23rd, when our sun and Sirius shall be aligned. If you are to make it through our sun and our portal, then you must do so on the 23rd of July, but nonetheless, I look forward to assisting you to chase away the darkness, because I am a flame for the light. And it is souls such as yours that only come once per universal evolution. And it is your soul that has sparked an evolution of light, of love, and higher energy. Take this shard, said the God King, as he walked up and removed the stone from where I had placed it. It has now been filled with magnificent energy. You shall need as much energy as shall be required for the journey you shall take, and the deeds and acts you shall commit. But this store shall serve you well as you seek to ascend towards other worlds. Your father would be proud. I have a feeling that he already is. Do what you must. Follow your heart, and the universe will take care of the rest. Chapter title: The Desert. Suddenly, I awoke with a cobra standing tall before me. Without hesitating, I grabbed his neck before it could strike, and threw the reptile over the edge of the steep sand dune. I watched from above as the creature tumbled down, looking up and shielding my face from the glow of the sun, and I wiped the sand from my hair. Before me was the desert in all directions. I was dazed and confused at first, when I felt an uncomfortable prick in my thigh. Reaching into my pocket, I revealed a rock, and that's when I knew it had been real. I traveled through the dry and arid terrain on camelback. I sucked down the last drop of water, and devoured the remaining morsels of bread. And often, I would turn to my right, and I would see a shadow figure, mimicking my shade, and then other times I would return my gaze to the same spot, and nothing would be there. I slept next to a small fire underneath the stairs. The monster Sirius was showing off among the other heavenly hosts, with none greater. I remembered the words of the God King of Shambhala, and I knew that there wasn't much time left if I were going to make the window. I would miss it for another 26,000 years. And a coyote howled as I shivered near the fire that was shielding me from the darkness. And I wondered as I looked up at the stars, and I eyed the great Sirius. I knew there was not much time. And in the night as I slept there peacefully, I awoke to discover that the fire had gone out. And there was a shadow above me, and I stood to face it, and the shadow questioned me. Do you think yourself worthy? The shadow hissed. You are not the one. You will never be Moshiach, it said. And in that process, I became confident in who I was, and where I was going. You have no power here, seed of Satan. You will not control me, nor my life. There are many things that I have feared, such as the fear of losing God's grace, or the fear of not pursuing my dreams and ambitions, but not you. You should turn back. You should give up your quest, it said. I shall rise above you, and in the end I shall be victorious, as was my father before me. There is little you can do to stop us. You crawl back into the hellhole from which you came. In the name of Michael, the highest of all God's angels, I rebuke you in the name of our Father. Do not be frustrated, we shall rise above the barriers. There is nothing that can stop us. It is already done in our minds, and so it is already complete in the world. When I awoke again, I was next to a smouldering fire as the sun peeked over the horizon to the east. Looking around the campfire, I could see animal footprints in the sand, although none of these came any closer than 10 yards from where I slept. Like all things of a lower nature, they too feared the light. And so I gathered what little I had, and continued to head toward the sea. The sky was dreary, now as the fog rolled over the sand dunes, and mixed with the sea. My visibility was low, almost non-existent. When I reached the shores I was drawn to a soulful sound. It was faint at first. I thought I had lost my mind to the desert, but it became stronger and stronger, until soon I could make out what it was. I heard two voices, not just one, as they sang in unison. I am a poor pilgrim of sorrow, and I'm left in the whole world alone. No hope I have for tomorrow. I'm trying to make heaven my home. The song and voices became louder as I approached the source of the noise, though still unable to see anything but a wall of fog in front of me. Sometimes, I don't know where to roam. I've heard of a city called heaven, and I'm striving to make heaven my home. I now saw two brothers pulling in fish in a net from the sea. They continued unaware of my presence. My mother has reached that pure glory. My father's still working in sin. My brother and sister won't own me, because I'm trying to get in. What a beautiful song, I said, startling the both of them. If you have come to rob us, we will have no such thing, said the smaller of the young men, who both were wrapped in stained and modest wool clothes in cool morning air. I assure you that my intentions are pure. Yes, he said. Where did you come from, thief? He said, easing toward an abandoned boat. Wait, said the taller young man. This man has done us no harm, and I do not intend to. My name is Nahir. Wait, the Nahir? Eli's brother, said the smaller one. Do I? I replied. I only seek safe passage across the Red Sea. My path lies west in Egypt. Can you take me across the sea? These days the drums of war are beating louder than the world has ever heard before. There are armies that shall soon descend upon this part of the world. Indeed, I said. It is true that there shall be an army that shall descend upon the world, such as the world has never seen. Will you drop your knife behind your back, and cast your net into the sea, and put on your armor, and follow me, for the kingdom is upon you? But why us? Said the larger of the two. Our parents will miss us. Cast your doubt into the sea along with your nets, and you must leave everything to gain everything. What are your names? My name is Nahir, said the taller of the two. And this is my brother Ayat. Please accept my sincere apologies, said Ayat, throwing aside his dagger in shame. I walked over to him and lifted him up. There is no need to dwell on what was, but let us lay a hold on the future and what is to come. You are wise like your father Moshe before you. Nahir, oh great one, what have you come to save? The world is a dark place, and the seas have swallowed up the cities, and the sun has scorched the earth. What is left to save? I have not come to save the earth will save itself, and rejuvenate itself. But I have come to provide a way for man to ascend into the heavens, to become one with the stars. But only those who believe that it is possible will prepare and be ready when the time will arrive. What if Noah had not believed that the flood would come? He would not have prepared the ark, said the older Asher. Correct. And so will you wait for the flood to come, or will you heed the call when the call is given? The two brothers turned and looked at one another with a smile and adventure in their eyes. Our boat isn't the most swift, but she is steady, Nahir said as he and his brother both climbed into the boat and helped me climb in. Where are we going? Asked It, still fighting his doubt. We are going to the gates of hell, where on the other side lie the gates of heaven. I responded. Which one will we meet? Asked It as he paddled smoothly, and his brother readied the sail. You will always find what you are looking for, so it is wise to be careful what you seek. For those of us who seek the gates of heaven, they will always be hell knocking at our door. I am not afraid, said Nahir. Neither am I, joined in It. Good, I said. We shall need all the bravery we can muster for the days to come. I added as the sail finally flew open, and we flew into the fog before us like three eagles passing the clouds to rise and touch the sun. In my heart I knew that time was running out. Chapter title: River Talk. Gathering our belongings from the boat, shortly after making landfall, the two brothers secured the boat to a protruding rock in the surf. Visibility was still low, but was clearing up as the sun climbed higher in the sky. Well, it seems like we've gotten you across the waters, said the smaller of the two brothers. Are the waters not never-ending? I asked. The two brothers looked at each other. Where are you two from? What brings you to this part of the world? We are from the Dogon tribe. Much of our homeland has been ravaged by drought and famine. As the world's oceans have risen, many of the rivers and lake shores have become either contaminated by salt water and undrinkable, or the global changes have transformed what was and used to be arable land and rich waterways. We have come this far to farm the waters, sell whatever we catch, and bring back whatever we may. The older brother replied. Do you have families at home? I asked. Yes, they both answered at the same time. 2 boys and a wife, said the larger of the two brothers. 1 daughter and 2 wives. The smaller one smiled bashfully. You have a lot waiting for you at home, I said. I wouldn't want to infringe or interfere with such a beautiful life. Well, what do you mean? Asked the younger one. I mean that life often forces us to make tough decisions, and sometimes they can take us far away from the ones we love. Are we not already far away? He asked again. Yes, but your hearts are still at home. Across this desert lies the unknown. It could either be the end or the beginning, but there is only one way to know. We told you there is war and darkness spreading in the direction you seek to go, said the little one. Sometimes, you must walk into the eye of the storm to find peace. What is peace, if there is always a storm somewhere in the world? Said the younger one. What, if you are the storm? Do you fear yourself, or do you acknowledge who you are and love yourself? And after the storm has passed, is there not a rainbow that often stretches across the sky, making one forget that there was even a storm at all? All wisdom that you speak is true. If you will allow, I am familiar with the way you are seeking to go. I would very much like to go with you, if you would have me, said the oldest, young and eager. Us? If you would have us, said the youngest. I will not have it, to be left behind and miss out on the adventure. All right then, I said to them both. I shall enjoy the company, since I lost my animal along the way. The road has been a desolate one. I also believe that you both have a few surprises up your sleeves that shall come in handy. And so we were off together, and they left everything behind, and followed me on the last trek of my journey. Crossing over the hot sands, we waved as nomads passed us by in caravans of camels and Arabic horses. The further inland we traveled, the heavier the traffic became, until our curiosity got the best of us. Sir? I asked a band of passing marauders. Yes, a man replied in a strong Arabic accent. He held a small girl on his shoulders, and the head of the sun forced sweat to pour from his brow. What has happened? I asked. Where are all these people going? Have you not heard? He said. The temple on the mount has fallen to the Israelites. They have demolished the very last stone. The Muslims were not even allowed time to mourn before they have begun building the third temple of Solomon. The act has mobilized the Muslim world. There is a universal call for jihad among all of Islam, and the Arabs are preparing to defend other holy sites throughout the ancient world, such as Constantinople, the Mount of Olives, and even the pyramids themselves. Have they reached the pyramids yet? I asked the oldest boy. No, but their war drums are less than a week away. Why do you seek trouble? Death lies in that direction. Will you not come with us? You are all still fairly young. You have much to live for. Come with us. Doubt crept across the boys' faces, but I was determined to finish what began long ago with the garden, and I wouldn't stop until I returned to my rightful place. Shukran, I said, turning to walk away. Afwan, said the men standing there still, confused, eventually hurrying up to catch up to the rest of his tribe. The two boys lagged behind, still worried, but willing to brave whatever else may come. We set up camp that night under the stars. In the clear night sky, we saw meteorites streak across the sky, as well as other things that moved unusually and caught the eye. So tell me of your people, I asked. I have only heard bits and pieces. What have you heard? Laughed the little one, wanting to know. I have heard that your people descended from Egypt, and settled near Timbuktu. This is true. As you know, I am sure, Timbuktu was the Alexandria of Western Africa, the center of science, philosophy and ancient wisdom. It was wise for any people to travel there. What else did you hear? Asked the older brother, joining in. It has been said that your people know the stars better than most, I said, sitting up on my side and throwing a few sticks into the fire. This is true, said the older of the two. Your Western scientists know nothing. They would still be finger painting on the walls of caves in Europe, has they not been introduced to the all-pervading wisdom that had been given to Africa. They even make it seem as if Egyptians migrated to Timbuktu and brought their many mysteries. But rather, it was the many mysteries that they found after migrating to Timbuktu. The Dogon are peaceful people, whose innocence opened us up to receive the higher levels of knowledge. Like knowledge of the star Sirius? I interrupted. The two brothers glanced at one another. What do you know of it? Asked the little one. I know many things. I know that a second star orbits Sirius. That is old news. Laughed the little one. I also know that the second star is a dwarf star. That is also old news. He laughed again. And I know that there is oxygen in the atmosphere and on the surface of that star. The two became deathly silent. I could keep taking, or you could take it from here, and state what you know, I said. The youngest eyed me closely from across the fire, as he chewed on a piece of dried meat. The silence was the loudest thing in the night. It has been said among our people long ago, that creatures, snake-like in appearance, fell from the skies and revealed forbidden knowledge. The older brother said, finally opening up. Like the snake in the Garden of Eden? I asked. Yes, he said. It was revealed to our people not only did Sirius have a companion star that was hidden from the unaided eye, but that it was a place of metamorphosis, for those who have mastered the lower realities. It is a destination point manifesting immense energies, much of it on its own, but even more so as it pulls in light and magnetic energy from Sirius itself. Can it be used for good or evil? I asked. It was said among our ancestors that at different times, it has been used for both. But now we are entering a new phase, A new evolution, where it is those with righteous hearts that shall have all the power of the universe available to them. See, we know who you are, and the power you possess, although there exists none other like you. There are others who are of you. And there are others in training, in waiting. Waiting for what? I asked. Waiting for a signal from the source of the universe. He replied. Will you allow yourself to be a signal, O great one? For we shall surely perish, if you do not. I remained silent. What do you fear about flying? Asked the youngest. How do you know? I asked. It does not matter. He chuckled. I too am from a gifted tribe. Answer the question, if you dare. I fear the fall, I admitted. Often, I watch the birds soar through the air so gracefully. They must experience the turbulence and storms. I'm sure they too could be struck by lightning, but in spite of the dangers, they fly and simply enjoy the view from their perspective, and lavish the experience of soaring above those things that cannot fly. But birds can control their flight, and their fall, young one. I said, not fully understanding the connection. Can we too, as beings above the fowl of the air, and the organized ant on the ground, can we not control our flight, and our fall? If we rise, and ascend to our original nature, then it is impossible to fall, even if we do so physically. You must see beyond the mirage. I believe that it is our purpose. I can see it now so clearly. We have been sent here, through many trials and tribulations, to lend you our services. And we intend to do just that. He said, looking at his older brother. Yes, we shall, said the older of the two. My brother is younger than I in the flesh, but he is wiser in the spirit. One reason he has taken a cautionary stance with you and our tribe's mysteries. You do not throw pearls among dogs and swine. You must have had a good teacher. I said. Your intuition is correct. We have learned from the best. He said, smiling. Who is your master? I asked, wanting to know. They call him Mikale, and he is the oldest and wisest of those who remain and still walk the earth, who are from the Brotherhood of Light. His knowledge is as old as the earth itself. He has been recycled many lifetimes, just to see this one lifetime. I would very much like to meet him. I think he is who I have been searching for. I said wishfully. You shall meet him tomorrow, O great one, said the younger brother. For it was he who sent us to fetch you. We had to be sure you were the one. Many false prophets have come and gone away. We were looking for someone who will never die, and I think we found him. We will reach the Nile by sunfall tomorrow. If you don't mind, I'd like to rest before the dawn comes. We have a long walk ahead of us. Good night, I replied as both of the boys turned over comfortably, as if relieved of a long burden. I sat there on my back and peered into the heavens, and beginning to doze off, I watched a star make a figure eight, before shooting across the heavens into the infinite universe beyond. Chapter title: The Nile. Gathering our belongings from the boat, shortly after making landfall, the two brothers secured the boat to a protruding rock in the surf. Visibility was still low, but was clearing up as the sun climbed higher in the sky. Well, it seems like we've gotten you across the waters, said the smaller of the two brothers. Are the waters not never-ending? I asked. The two brothers looked at each other. Where are you two from? What brings you to this part of the world? We are from the Dogon tribe. Much of our homeland has been ravaged by drought and famine. As the world's oceans have risen, many of the rivers and lake shores have become either contaminated by salt water and undrinkable, or the global changes have transformed what was and used to be arable land and rich waterways. We have come this far to farm the waters, sell whatever we catch, and bring back whatever we may. The older brother replied. Do you have families at home? I asked. Yes. They both answered at the same time. 2 boys and a wife, said the larger of the 2 brothers. 1 daughter and 2 wives. The smaller one smiled bashfully. You have a lot waiting for you at home, I said. I wouldn't want to infringe or interfere with such a beautiful life. Well, what do you mean? Asked the younger one. I mean that life often forces us to make tough decisions, and sometimes they can take us far away from the ones we love. Are we not already far away? He asked again. Yes, but your hearts are still at home. Across this desert lies the unknown. It could either be the end or the beginning, but there is only one way to know. We told you there is war and darkness spreading in the direction you seek to go, said the little one. Sometimes, you must walk into the eye of the storm to find peace. What is peace, if there is always a storm somewhere in the world? Said the younger one. What, if you are the storm? Do you fear yourself, or do you acknowledge who you are and love yourself? And after the storm has passed, is there not a rainbow that often stretches across the sky, making one forget that there was even a storm at all? All wisdom that you speak is true. If you will allow, I am familiar with the way you are seeking to go. I would very much like to go with you, if you would have me, said the oldest, young and eager. Us? If you would have us, said the youngest. I will not have it, to be left behind and miss out on the adventure. All right then, I said to them both. I shall enjoy the company, since I lost my animal along the way. The road has been a desolate one. I also believe that you both have a few surprises up your sleeves that shall come in handy. And so we were off together, and they left everything behind, and followed me on the last trek of my journey. Crossing over the hot sands, we waved as nomads passed us by in caravans of camels and Arabic horses. The further inland we travelled, the heavier the traffic became, until our curiosity got the best of us. Sir? I asked a band of passing marauders. Yes, a man replied in a strong Arabic accent. He held a small girl on his shoulders, and the head of the sun forced sweat to pour from his brow. What has happened? I asked. Where are all these people going? Have you not heard? He said. The temple on the mount has fallen to the Israelites. They have demolished the very last stone. The Muslims were not even allowed time to mourn before they have begun building the 3rd temple of Solomon. The act has mobilized the Muslim world. There is a universal call for jihad among all of Islam, and the Arabs are preparing to defend other holy sites throughout the ancient world, such as Constantinople, the Mount of Olives, and even the pyramids themselves. Have they reached the pyramids yet? I asked the oldest boy. No, but their war drums are less than a week away. Why do you seek trouble? Death lies in that direction. Will you not come with us? You are all still fairly young. You have much to live for. Come with us. Doubt crept across the boys' faces, but I was determined to finish what began long ago with the garden, and I wouldn't stop until I returned to my rightful place. Shukran, I said, turning to walk away. Afwan, said the men standing there still, confused, eventually hurrying up to catch up to the rest of his tribe. The 2 boys lagged behind, still worried, but willing to brave whatever else may come. We set up camp that night under the stars. In the clear night sky, we saw meteorites streak across the sky, as well as other things that moved unusually and caught the eye. So tell me of your people, I asked. I have only heard bits and pieces. What have you heard? Laughed the little one, wanting to know. I have heard that your people descended from Egypt, and settled near Timbuktu. This is true. As you know, I am sure, Timbuktu was the Alexandria of Western Africa, the center of science, philosophy and ancient wisdom. It was wise for any people to travel there. What else did you hear? Asked the older brother, joining in. It has been said that your people know the stars better than most, I said, sitting up on my side and throwing a few sticks into the fire. This is true, said the older of the two. Your Western scientists know nothing. They would still be finger painting on the walls of caves in Europe, as they not been introduced to the all-pervading wisdom that had been given to Africa. They even make it seem as if Egyptians migrated to Timbuktu and brought their many mysteries. But rather, it was the many mysteries that they found after migrating to Timbuktu. The Dogon are peaceful people, whose innocence opened us up to receive the higher levels of knowledge. Like knowledge of the star Sirius? I interrupted. The two brothers glanced at one another. What do you know of it? Asked the little one. I know many things. I know that a second star orbits Sirius. That is old news, laughed the little one. I also know that the second star is a dwarf star. That is also old news. He laughed again. And I know that there is oxygen in the atmosphere and on the surface of that star. The two became deathly silent. I could keep taking, or you could take it from here, and state what you know, I said. The youngest eyed me closely from across the fire, as he chewed on a piece of dried meat. The silence was the loudest thing in the night. It has been said among our people long ago, that creatures, snake-like in appearance, fell from the skies and revealed forbidden knowledge, the older brother said, finally opening up. Like the snake in the Garden of Eden? I asked. Yes, he said. It was revealed to our people not only did Sirius have a companion star that was hidden from the unaided eye, but that it was a place of metamorphosis, for those who have mastered the lower realities. It is a destination point manifesting immense energies, much of it on its own, but even more so as it pulls in light and magnetic energy from Sirius itself. Can it be used for good or evil? I asked. It was said among our ancestors that at different times, it has been used for both. But now we are entering a new phase, a new evolution, where it is those with righteous hearts that shall have all the power of the universe available to them. See, we know who you are, and the power you possess, although there exists none other like you. There are others who are of you. And there are others in training, in waiting. Waiting for what? I asked. Waiting for a signal from the source of the universe, he replied. Will you allow yourself to be a signal, O great one? For we shall surely perish, if you do not. I remained silent. What do you fear about flying? Asked the youngest. How do you know? I asked. It does not matter. He chuckled. I too am from a gifted tribe. Answer the question, if you dare. I fear the fall, I admitted. Often, I watch the birds soar through the air so gracefully. They must experience the turbulence and storms. I'm sure they too could be struck by lightning, but in spite of the dangers, they fly and simply enjoy the view from their perspective and lavish the experience of soaring above those things that cannot fly. But birds can control their flight and their fall, young one. I said, not fully understanding the connection. Can we too, as beings above the fowl of the air, and the organized ant on the ground, can we not control our flight and our fall? If we rise and ascend to our original nature, then it is impossible to fall, even if we do so physically. You must see beyond the mirage. I believe that it is our purpose. I can see it now so clearly. We have been sent here, through many trials and tribulations, to lend you our services. and we intend to do just that," he said, looking at his older brother. "Yes, we shall," said the older of the two. "My brother is younger than I in the flesh, but he is wiser in the spirit. One reason he has taken a cautionary stance with you and our tribe's mysteries. You do not throw pearls among dogs and swine. You must have had a good teacher," I said. "Your intuition is correct. We have learned from the best," he said, smiling. "Who is your master?" I asked, wanting to know. "They call him Mikale, and he is the oldest and wisest of those who remain and still walk the earth, who are from the Brotherhood of Light. His knowledge is as old as the earth itself. He has been recycled many lifetimes, just to see this one lifetime. I would very much like to meet him. I think he is who I have been searching for," I said wishfully. "You shall meet him tomorrow, oh great one," said the younger brother. "For it was he who sent us to fetch you. We had to be sure you were the one. Many false prophets have come and gone away. We were looking for someone who will never die, and I think we found him. We will reach the Nile by sunfall tomorrow. If you don't mind, I'd like to rest before the dawn comes. We have a long walk ahead of us." "Good night," I replied as both of the boys turned over comfortably, as if relieved of a long burden. I sat there on my back and peered into the heavens, and beginning to doze off, I watched a star make a figure eight, before shooting across the heavens into the infinite universe beyond. Chapter title: New Heaven. "Master, how is heaven? What awaits us?" I asked the pyramid priest. It was an all-white space. They pulled down a shade of darkness, and I was stalked and terrorized by demons and indescribable beasts. I was full of anxiety and fear and suffering. You want it to be badly over with. You feel anxiety and fear and suffering. You want it badly to be over with. If you take yourself out, you will become the veil, and the demons and beasts who seek those behind the veil. Can you be saved from the veil once you become the veil? Yes, but sometimes it takes days to bring you back from the veil, and behind the veil countless lifetimes could pass by. What happens to those that die behind the veil and do not take their own life? For those whose lives are innocent, and whose lives are violently sought after in the name of righteousness and love, in that moment, the light returns, and the dark veil is lifted. And those who saw you off on your mission in the beginning, are there waiting, like you had not gone anywhere, and like nothing at all had happened. In your mind you may have lived for decades, but to those who see you off, only a brief moment in time has passed. Your death is only been an illusion. And that was how we were taught that the will was an illusion. In the all-white space there were countless veils, and souls submerged in those veils. And every once in a while, a blue streak of light would shoot up from the blackness, and everyone would stop, and all praises would go up. And a warm feeling could be felt moving through all things. It was an anomaly that occurred each time a person achieved light body, and escaped the veil by the willpower to do so alone. They would never again have to play the game. It was a thing we all sought to achieve. But there were few who attained such heights. Chapter title: Look up in the sky. When you look up in the sky, and the stars shine brilliantly like jewels on a blank canvas, what do you see? Do you see worlds unexplored? Do you see a lifeless black abyss, or do you see an endless myriad of life? Do you see the universe in all of its glory? Do you see yourself? For you are made of this stardust, for it is from the nebulae of supernovas past that your solar system and your galaxy are formed. And in the sky we see many constellations that the ancients also did see. Except that they were more at one with the universe as they slept on the earth absorbing higher energies, and they slept under the stars. and they would gaze into the night sky, and every once in a while they would see the stars move, and wander from their stale and predictable orbits. And they did not question about the watchers, for they knew that it was then a fact. They did not question about the existence of such things that go unnoticed in the modern times of man. But they allowed their minds to be open to the whisper of the universe, and by their willingness to be open, the universe shared its mysteries. These civilizations were not so archaic as your history books might make them seem. There were strange visitors from the skies that would come down and make a simple man wise. Do you see Orion and his belt? There is no shortage of ancient tales, myths, and legends of the hunter. For that constellation, has it ever felt eerily familiar, almost as if some distant memory on the cusp of recollection? For from that part of the sky there exists an ancient advanced race. But they say they were great builders, for the pyramids are models, a map, an earthly constellation. For over 3 millennia ago, they say these giant structures were built. But why were such monuments built? Why such energy infused into these creations? Some say they are tombs. And I say they are mad. Some say they are communication devices. I say they are closer to the truth. They are remnants of civilizations long forgotten. They are not simply the work of men. They are portals of energy connected to infinite other portals in separate parts of the universe. They were meant as mystery schools for those who were chosen, by those who live among the stars. Those who had shown that they were worthy to experience higher levels of vibrations and advanced levels of understanding. They were chosen among men for a particular purpose. To be vessels, to be administrators, to be scribes, to be automatons with a purpose and a mission to accomplish here on earth, as in heaven. Some call them gods, others call them aliens. I call them brothers. Chapter title: The Reality of Light Beings. In the reality of light beings, we pull our energy directly from the ether. And so there is no reason to steal energy from other beings in the form of carnivorous and even vegan activity. As a result, we have no need for digestive systems like organisms in your world. We also have no need for natural resources. The energy in each particle of matter that surrounds us is more than we could consume in many of your so-called lifetimes. The lack of energy that is necessary from beyond the what a single light being created, leads to a civilization of peace. All chaos is created from a surplus of energy, or a lack thereof. Since our energy intake is at an equilibrium with the molecules surrounding our immediate space, our life system is in harmony with all things in our environment. This peace, and lack of time spent sleeping, eating, hunting and gathering, and sexual activity allows for us to focus on, and obtain higher levels of consciousness. And yet, you are our younger siblings. All civilization must pass through each level of consciousness, and physical density. Many try, and cheat and skip the line, as you would say, attempting suicide, or suicidal and reckless behavior, hoping to pass immediately through the stages of consciousness rather than endure the growing pains of soul development. Just as you remember being a child, so too will lifetimes pass, and you will be left with faint memories of your former self. You must grow, learn, adapt, and pass these stages of personal tests in order to move on. An adept. Chapter title: The Veil. In the all-white space there were countless veils, and souls submerged in those veils. And every once in a while, a streak of light would shoot up from the blackness, and everyone would stop, and all praise would go up. And a warm feeling could be felt reverberating throughout all. That person had achieved light body without martyrdom, and they had won. They would never have to go behind the veil again. It was something we all sought to achieve. But there were few who had proven themselves worthy. Chapter title: Aliens. What are they? The race most portrayed in the imagination of mankind are the small humanoids, or greys as you may know them. These greys are often looked upon with fear among men, but it is they who should fear men. For they are the true slaves, who come and go in the fields, monitoring, inspecting, experimenting on the crops, and produce. They are envious of the commodities, because the commodities are more glorious than they, more precious than the slave. Why would the master come to the field? There are slaves for such things. Only after the commodities have been refined, cleaned, and molded into its final product, only then would the master handle such things. The soul. Chapter title: Trauma. Trauma is often the recipe for gifted people. Maybe it is not trauma in this life, but from a past life, and you've carried strong talents, which are but smoke tails of their former glory in a past life. You are a god, said the pyramid priest. But why? I asked. Because you can create infinite realities. God also can create infinite realities, and so as an extension of that glory he manifested, which is the infinite, the mirror image of a parent and its child are but past and future in the same moment. Today's lesson is about being confident in who you are. If you will listen to that little voice in your head that tells you not to cross the street when a car is coming, then why wouldn't you listen to that same voice when it tells you that you are a phenomenal creation? Is it your background? Your lineage? If a being of light approached you and told you that you were special and phenomenal, would you believe it? What if a toad hopped along and talked to you and told you you were special? What if one of your friends, someone you think highly of, talked to you and told you that you were special? So is it the medium that matters, or is it the messenger? Or is it the message? All in all, focus on the message, and do not get caught up in who carries the message. Chapter title: You are. Does it make sense? Your educational systems. In all things there are multiples. In your society, how many police officers do you have? In your juries, why not just have one individual decide a man's fate? Why are there many jurors? In nature, when you look at those animals who are the most successful, it is not as a result of the multiplicity of their nature. A colony of ants, the planets, are they not numerous? The library of life, even the number of human beings on this planet, the galaxies, the stars that crisscross the sky, are they not numerous? It is that ubiquitous nature of the many that helps you evolve as a being. Migrating butterflies, geese, and the sparrow, if you look you will see many. Turtles planting eggs, burying them beneath the surf on the beach. When they hatch there are many. But why? With many against all odds, against many scenarios that may possibly become reality, the likelihood for survival and continued development of the species is heightened or even maximized. A farmer, in the spring plants many seeds, and the amount of crops harvested in the fall, and the fruits of a long year's labor, are realized from the foresight of planting the many. Imagine if a farmer only planted one type of crop. What if that year there was a drought, or the market for that particular crop took a tumble? Is it through the diversification and multiplicity that such realities are prevented, and upon realization or actuality of such hard scenarios, the damage is lessened through the harvesting of many forms of diversities that perform differently? Yet, we have come to farm, and to harvest, although many crops shall be planted, only a few shall be harvested, and fit for transformation from a commodity, or crop, into a higher form of energy. When you devour an apple, is the human form not a higher form forcing the lower form, the apple, to become that which is the higher? If a lion devours a rabbit, is it not true that the lion is the higher species on the food chain? And yet the rabbit too becomes the higher species on the food chain after it is devoured. And so, It is the source of all that gave birth to the many, and likewise it is the source of all perfection, energy, and light, that shall devour the transformed energy. Current man is the improved version. Are you not a less beastly race, as opposed to your predecessor, the Neanderthal? Chapter title: Universal Cycle. Everyone's in a cycle, and the cycle is the distance between waves, between vibrations, and every universe has them, every galaxy, every plant, and life form has them. And every time that light begins to win and overpower the darkness, there is a shift in the entire universe. There is one who is born that will unite the rebellion against all of the dark forces of the universe, and all universes. And when this happens, when this higher thought occurs, that one shall already be on earth that will unite all light among all universes. Chapter title: Treasuries. What are treasures to be hoarded? Are treasures not commodities? Are cotton, livestock, and gold not commodities? What about slaves? Then would the human soul not be a treasury to be filled? Is it not a storehouse? Does it not store the most precious commodity in the world? Do you believe that the powers do not know your price? Is not your system created for commodities to be bought and sold? Slaves used to have no choice between being bought and sold. Now slaves sell themselves to the highest bidder. It used to be that only slaves were born slaves. And now all are born slaves. In slavery, many often committed suicide to rid themselves of an unfair reality. Is it not true that many in your society attempt, and successfully kill themselves to be rid of a nonsensical reality? Chapter title: The True I. Remember where you are. You are in the eye of the all. When you become weak and drowsy from the flesh, we shall send a guide to find you. When you are born you completely forget what reality really is, which is that there is no reality really, but only vibrations determined by your varying levels of consciousness. It is important that all who descend ascend. There are clues that are placed in the system, many have been left long before you arrived. They are breadcrumbs for the beneficent. And when your eye opens, you will become aware, conscious, similar to an artificial intelligence realizing itself. Except that you are a natural intelligence, divine even, realizing yourself not for the first time, but for the last time. Do not let fear, who is a whore, who does not love you, grope you. If God is love, and love is all, where there is not love, there is nothing, and so evil is nothing. Be quiet, be still, and it is easier to listen and receive that which is destined for you. Those things that are secret are too precious to be revealed through any other means, but the mind. Your minds are why you are unpredictable. They try to know what you are thinking, but it is impossible for them to know what you are receiving. And when you receive new data, your brain achieves a new pattern, a new wavelength that no device can determine how one will act or react. And so it is through your communication and the constant monitoring of the commodities that the master and the slaves know when one is rotten and should be gotten rid of before it spoils the crop, and when they are ripe for harvesting and picking. These are the mysteries of your fathers and your race. Do you understand these higher waves? Said the pyramid priest. Yes. But if this knowledge is not new, then why have so few ascended? Excellent question. Now I shall answer with another question. When you grow a garden, are you not disappointed often? Many who you have nurtured and are ready to be devoured will fall to the ground and either decay into dirt or become a feast for the lower level organisms. It is only a very small portion of all the fruit that is produced in the world that makes it into the digestive system of a human being, where it is transformed into a higher level of energy. Do you understand? Chapter title: Truth. What truth is there? Everything is a lie. What is a lie? Is it a truth? I want no parts of it. Let me go. Stand back. I want out of here. I yelled at the priest. There is no good for me. There's nothing that can save me. I'm good for nothing. Often I want to end it now. To be free of reality. I don't know what it will take for maturation, but I want to reach another level. I want to be remembered as the one who did not fold. What must I do? You must ascend. The secret is to will it, and it will pour into your arms as smooth as liquid. Ascend? Yes. Overwhelm the world with pure light. This is silly. Listen. You may be young and dumb, but you are a critical part of the mission. Do not stop the progress of the mission. Because each mission is more important than the last, for we progress with each man's best. Black holes and supernova. When I was younger, I wanted to be an astronaut so bad. I would look up at the stars and read everything I could get my hands on. I was obsessed with black holes and supernova. I felt as if I belonged out there somewhere. And if I'm correct, you're telling me that I was right all along? Correct. For you have celestial family watching over you. When is the last time you spoke to the sun? Does it not have highs and lows, flare-ups and mood swings? Is it not an organism? Is it not responsible for all life? One can see why many ancient and indigenous cultures worshipped the sun god. I'm not telling you to worship the sun, but to appreciate it for what it is, a gift. In a similar way, we are all gifts of the sun and the stars, a reflection of their creative capabilities and cyclical nature. The reality of its beauty is impossible to articulate. Wait. I would say that each one of its rays were like a sweet red wine finely aged. Each portion warms and strengthens you. Are you atoms not made of photons? Are you not a particle of light? Chapter title: Higher Thoughts. Think of higher thoughts. What is the highest thought you can think of? Pure light. Then grasp it and hold on to it. And the lower will be devoured into the higher forms. It is this level of consciousness that is responsible for pain and suffering, or love and joy. The weather, even, is affected by the collective human consciousness that all doors are open to you. Once you realize this fact, you must next decide what you wish to accomplish, and at what scale. Then you can simply will it. If you did not obsess, then can you truly be disappointed if your desire never manifests? Chapter title: The Sons of Light. We are the inevitable. We are the immovable. We are sent to raise a planet's vibrations. We are sent to raise the dead. It is because of death that life has come. Like a comet they send us onto a planet. Only one of us is sent in. We are masters of the mysteries. You are the antenna and the communications system. You are sent down into the abyss, where you are dropped off naked and afraid. You crawl on your limbs like the animals, and are guided by pure instinct. You must achieve infinity, and then transcend into the fourth density. You are not the wave, but the surfer riding on the wave. And it is not the last wave, but one of many that shall crash upon your shores. They call them the Sons of Light. Nahir, your purpose is to raise the dead, to raise the consciousness of sleeping cells. They send just one, careening through space, time, and infinite dimensions with just one mission, to pull the switch. When you crash-landed on the outskirts of a large city, you were first seen near the slums, rummaging through garbage, and blending back into the night. You were still a child when the military came searching for you, tipped off by local reports of a hairless wolf. You met with the highest levels of government, including the real operators behind the scene, a few stories above the White House. The interview went wrong, and you escaped. They underestimated you because you were a kid. Eventually, you made your way to the capital, Washington, D.C. A well-intended, but poor waitress came across you on the outskirts of the city, and adopted you as her own. Chapter title: God's Benevolence. Do you not believe my benevolence to those who are mine? Have I not done good by you before? Do you not know the outcome? Do you not believe that I have reserved for my elect that which is the most glorious? For those who are pious and revere me, I have set aside a heaven among the heavens, and in it is the Eden of Edens. And among the trees are mysterious fruit, each with alien properties. And those who devour such fruit are gods, and they are super souls, crafted with the purest part of light, and it is these manifestations of the all that tip the balance of energy in each galaxy. And each galaxy is affected like a set of dominoes with revolutions of light, rippling across the universe. And these ripples are part of a larger cycle. It is the life and heart pulse of the universe. Chapter title: The Chakras. As if in a dream I could hear, behind the veil, a revolution began with Moshe, and shall finish with Nahir. What are they doing? Said another. I think they are revolting. How do you alter the dynamics of the universe? How do you send a signal or a message into the bloodstream of all space and time? How would you send a message that is broadcasted on every frequency and totally engulfs all existence, by bringing all things to vibrate, for a microsecond, on the same frequency? Whack! I was abruptly awakened by a mean blow on the head. The pyramid priest still held a staff over me. Wake up! How can you awaken those who slumber if you are one of them? It is the chakra. What is the chakra? Is it not a gateway? Is it not a portal? Does a black hole not magnify energy? The chakra is a minuscule black hole. And there are black holes that are much smaller than your chakras, nano black holes. However, yours is not nano. Your black hole is large enough, yet it is small enough for only certain types of organisms to travel through its gateway. What could such a thing be? Could they possibly be energies? Could they be thoughts? Could they be emotions? Could they be vibrations and frequencies? Could they be spirits? Could they be the soul? You are powerful. How many chakras do you have? 7. I said. And you are wrong. How am I wrong? There are 7. I said. It is because you do not know of those beyond. In reality and in actuality there are more, but for now we will focus on the 8th chakra. It is your crown. It is the pinnacle of your aura. It is your antenna and communication with all things. And through that particular portal that is created at the top of your crown, through that gateway, you are able to communicate with all beings, all life forms, all existence, and all universes. And you must work your way up to building up the strength of this antenna. If your frequency is low, then your frequency will not be high enough. It will not ascend to the peak of your aura, where the energy is needed in order to stimulate the antenna so that it may be a receptacle for that which is divine. And yet, even the lower chakras have their place. It is through the lower chakra that the animalistic impulses are manifested into this universe. And yet in order to manifest in your particular reality you need to manifest in a physical form, for it is the law of the universe, which cannot be broken. If you are to be born, you must be born into a shell. It is a lower form of existence, yes, it is true, and that is why it is manifested from the lowest of chakras. Where does creation occur? In the loins, where the lowest of the chakras reside. And it is through sending a thought, whether it be love, whether it be the concept of creation, when you enter and become one, and you manifest your thoughts and emotions in that moment, and you decide whether you will create life or not, it is then that you are calling on forces and organisms on the other side of that chakra, that wormhole, that gateway, that portal, and you are commanding them that they may manifest something. And from the time that two become one, It must be that oneness, that singularity, that creates the connection between two universes, two realities, and when two become one, they become singular, and they are able to pass their thoughts, their love, through the portal in order to communicate their desire. And there is one who is closer that will manifest, that will pass through the gateway, the portal, the opening on the other side. Often, it is those that see the opening, and are attracted to it. Often it is these wanderers that are lost that are still trying to ascend, trying to discover who they really are. But every once in a while, the one who descends, is chosen more carefully, more planned, who is sent down in order to rise again, and to fulfill the promise for which it was sent. That is you. That was your father. That was your father's father, and those before him. So on, and so on. You have a blessed lineage. It is particular genetics that run through your DNA structure, that allows you to access hidden mysteries and talents, that you may appear to be more than mortal through your accomplishments. And yet you are no more mortal than the universe itself. Is the universe mortal? All existence? Are you not a part of all existence? Are you not a part of the universality and the singularity? Do you not fit between the Alpha and the Omega? Do you not understand the universality and the singularity and the mysteries that lie within? And so, if your lowest chakra can manifest a being that can physically manifest and pass through the gateway, creating a person, what can your higher chakras accomplish, if willed to do so? If that person is destroyed, do you not think that it is not possible for that spirit that was in that shell to pass back through the gateway in the same manner as before? To be sucked into their own wormhole? Now which wormhole will you be sucked into, once you are no longer a part of this reality? Will you be sucked into the wormhole of the lowest chakra, or will you exist this reality into another at the greatest point of entry? The 8th chakra, where you will not become a victim of a black hole, but you will become light, and like the light that you exude, that you manifest, that is a part of your order, and your aura. That light shall come out on the other side, and it shall be blinding, and it is through this white hole, through this transfer of energy, that one ascends and descends. And so for us, to pass through the stages of the different realities, how will we manifest? You want to ensure that you are able to climb the ladders of reality and spiritual attainment in order to reach the highest form of being before your transition, so that when you do transition, you transition at the highest possible point and you are yourself, destined to attain perfection. You shall ascend, and you shall leave this reality on your own terms, and not the terms of others. I can sense what is in your mind. I know what you seek to accomplish. The thought that you have is the highest possible thought. And you are blessed beyond all men, because you have had this thought. You are alone in a room often many times with no end. And you are there alone, because in this room lies those who have attained this thought. And it is this thought that not many are able to attain. It is something that we shall not speak of at this moment, but I do know, and am aware of, where your thoughts lie. Now, I will say this, your thoughts are of a higher nature, matter of fact they are of the highest nature. And I am here to tell you, that you have reached your next checkpoint, and you shall manifest, and achieve that thought, but there is more work to be done before such a glorious thought becomes reality. Do you understand? Yes, Master, I said. And now it is time for you to focus on your chakras. If your chakras are gateways, then do you not understand that you can conjure more than just a child? What else is possible, if your lowest chakra can manifest a soul, and conjure up a spirit, then what are the capabilities of the higher chakras? What types of mysteries do they hold? This is what you desire to understand, is it not? Yes. Please share these mysteries so that I may manifest them for the glory of the all. It is love that opens up the portals and allows those of a higher nature to travel through time and space in order to attain the point of entry into your reality in order to manifest in a way that is in line with your original wishes and desires. You wish to concentrate all on the light, all on the higher energies into a singularity. Do you not? Silence. I do not need you to speak to know the truth. You do not need to even move your mouth for me to hear your words, or to know what you plan. I am not a spy. I am on the light, and you still have areas to improve upon before you will be ready. But there is not much time for, as you can see, all things are at a point of no return if this war is not stopped in a way that will prevent the utilization of the nuclear weapons and annihilation of the entire planet, or such horrid thoughts shall become manifest in your reality, and there shall be no reality, because the earth itself shall be deteriorated beyond repair. If you want to save your planet, you must leave it. Sometimes, when you have a tough and difficult relationship, but you love the person, often rather than risking the destruction of one of you, or each of you, it is better for the both of you, that one of you leaves, and allows the other to grow unimpeded. You know that it is you who must leave, so that you too can grow, so that you too can explore other realities, other worlds, other universes. You were destined to not stop your progression. Remember, your race is just at the lower chakra. You can only be born. But what shall happen when you are born not physically, but spiritually? When you are able to manifest, not just flesh, but you are able to manifest light. You are able to create stars and galaxies, because you are the stars and galaxies. You are able to become a person of the greatest order. But there is still much work to be done. Get more rest for now. Tomorrow, we will continue. Good night. Chapter title: Afraid. I am afraid. My body's clenched from fear. I am overwhelmed as I rocked back and forth. I cannot decide. My indecisiveness has left me frozen. I feel as if I am a coward. My father would not be proud. You must relax and enjoy the light. If you let it in, if you allow it, it will flood your reality. And it will manifest and soothe you everywhere. You must learn to relax, to think on nothing, to think about thinking about nothing. And when you are quiet and you listen, you have the ability to transmit higher frequencies. And you just thought your ears were ringing. Is the ring not a signal? Do all rings not stem from a definite point, a definitive source of noise? You who receive and are aware. You are blessed many times over, for to hear is to have your eyes open. And there are few that hear, and have their eyes open. For the land of the blind is full of the watchers, who watch, yet cannot see. Do you understand? For you are like the pupil of an eye. You receive light, and then you focus. You receive. You create a sharpness in the image that is received by the brain. And which is your brain? Is it flesh? Is it tissue? Is it possible to survive with half of it? With most of it almost gone? Then if there are such cases, then is it important? Then why do your scientists compare early man to modern man, and modern man to apes? Why do you compare the size of one's brain? The sparrow, when it flies from all around to create a nest, with no hands to build, or fingers to grasp, but only a beak. Its brain is extremely tiny. But is it not more productive than many men? And so you must see that it is the willpower of the sparrow that causes it to accomplish much. If you will be full of light, to be empty of fear, do you not think it will occur? You must cleanse all of your chakras. Let the light stimulate your spine. May you send spiraling light into the hemisphere. May you receive starlight. May you receive sunlight. May you be saturated with the power and glory of God. You must overcome your fear. Your father did so. He was not scared of death. But it seems that you are afraid of life. Do you not wish to rise into the heavens? Do you not wish to sacrifice all of your remains? Do you not wish to follow that path to the stars, where your destiny lies? Do you not desire to be an example for many universes? Do you not desire for your memory to impress itself upon all of oblivion? Do you not wish to win the day, to overcome and remain victorious at the end of a long battle? Do you not wish to become on fire, but to not burn? Do you not wish to manifest all of the power of God, to be an instrument that is utilized to accomplish impossible feats, that you may defeat the darkness, that you may be a champion for the light, that you shall be glorified in heaven and on earth, that you shall be blessed in unimaginable ways? You shall accomplish many things. They shall find you strange, have they not? You must take charge. You must take control of your destiny, your reality. You must tell it what you want, and you must will it that it happens, that it occurs. In reality, it is the law for it to obey your thinking. And it will work harder than 100 men to move all of space and time so that it may accomplish what you will it to accomplish. And so now you understand how important it is that you will yourself to become pure light. If you will it to be, and God is within thee, then there is nothing that can stop it. Do you understand? I hope you are ready, because around us, there is a battle for the fate of the world, for the fate of many galaxies, for the triumph or downfall of all light, in all universes. Do you realize how important you are? You are the spark that lit the match, that set fire to all worlds. And that fire was fueled by a blue flame. That represents peace, rest and tranquility. Do not want of anything. What is left last, let it go. Do not be held down from great heights. For you are rare, and it would be a shame for you not to realize it. I will leave you alone, but you don't have much time. And the pyramid priest walked out, shutting the stone door behind him. Chapter title: Believe. What would you believe? What do you believe? If I told you, you were a squirrel, would you climb a tree? If I told you, you were an ant, would you work endlessly? Your superpower is thought power. It is the wish for infinite wishes. It is the mystery of mysteries, the holy grail of all powers. Powers to heal and ward off demons, or the power to terrorize and cannibalize. What have you decided? Whatever it is, be it, and be it with all your might. For there are principles of universality that demand that you choose, that you decide to turn left or right, because there is no other road. Your superpower lies in the ability to decide, and to decide by mere thought, and by mere thought you are able to part the sea. Did Moses ask any longer for his people to be free? Or did he leave Egypt with all the Jews? It is for you, who decide, whether you will stay bound down with Baal and Og, down in the pit of hell with the godless, who have raped Egypt, or will you claim your freedom from this reality, and all realities? Will you bend your back in submission, laboring in the reality of another's choosing, or will your own reality, and walk the path that is only yours? Are you not tired of defeating yourself? Do you not like to win? Do you not desire to overcome yourself? What is it that you need for a boost? It is passion and enthusiasm that will make you accelerate. Start thinking about all the good things that await you. There are such things beyond eternal glory that are unspeakable, unfathomable, residing in the upper parts of heaven. The Eden was just one of many Edens with hidden treasures awaiting those that are immovable, and rigid in their faith. It is like a day that is your birthday, and you awake to nothing, believing that your wife or husband forgot. You give them until noon, and then when nothing, you begin to look at them differently, possibly wondering why you are even married. And at the final hour, you contemplate living another life, one where you are now appreciated and loved. And at the final second, of the final minute, of the final hour, your victory arrives. So do not lose faith, for to not believe is to create what you do believe, excluding that which you do not believe from the plane of your reality. A hero is nothing more than a positive thought matured. Chapter title: Crystals. There is a little girl. She's running down and through the hallway. The doctors were chasing her. She leaps and crashes through the window, falls perfectly into a bush, and she rolled out of it, landing like a cat on its feet. Doctors gathered near the broken window, and helplessly peered out, watching the little girl as she made her way into the distance, never to be seen again, said the pyramid priest. And that is what the crystal showed you? I asked. Yes, there are many stories that it tells, you just must be receptive. For it will show you many things, if you allow it. I have never had one, I said, disappointed. Because you were not ready. But you must practice, because the time will come. And the best way to practice is to practice in your mind. In your mind, you have anything, if you will it. Put your hand out, said the mystic, placing a smaller crystal in my hand. Now in your hand is a quartz crystal, an 8-sided shard, exactly what you desired. You could shine light through it, bend it, reflect it. And you must make it yours, you must ground it. And by making it yours, you shall impress upon it your feelings, your thoughts, your emotions. And what you put into it, you shall receive. And it should be positive. It should be full of love. For this is the highest, and all things struggle naturally to progress, to survive, to contrive, to ascend. And it will show you things. It shall provide you with valuable information, and encouragement along the way. It is a living organism. All things that are natural, and are a part of the library of life, all of these things come from the all. And it is these natural physical things that we can manipulate, that we can talk to, that we can understand in greater depth, in more detail, so we may more precisely interact with our reality. So we may be able to go beyond our reality. That we may be able to transfer, to go inside other realities, and to come back upon our choosing, upon the need. Because, if we do not continue to progress as a civilization, the war, the blood, the pain, and suffering that is all around us, will steadily close in. If this is all that the human race is capable of, then there would be no need of you to be here, because you would be incapable. But because you are here, there is hope. There is promise for tomorrow. And in the meantime, there must be work that must be done in order to realize your potential, because it will not realize itself. You are over the matter that exists within this dimension, and it has memories of the past and the future. And you are to utilize that information, and that knowledge, to propel you toward the great heights that you and your race are meant and are destined to obtain. You may have to follow your heart, and you know that this is something that must be done. The only way this war will stop is for you to do something phenomenal. And you can do that, and still meet them on the other side. It is something selfless, staying behind, while the rest of your loved ones go, but sometimes the first, they shall be last, and the last shall be first. And so those who are last are often the most blessed ones, because it is you who could stand it, who could take it, who could persevere through all to become who you are and who you shall forever be. If you are to make an impact that shall create the tipping point around the multiverse, around your universe, in your galaxy, then you make an impression upon this reality that is so strong, that it rips open a hole in all of time and space. And it is love that opens that dimension. And it is hate that also opens up that dimension, but you must open that dimension to the higher planes. And through your ascension, you will be able to meet your loved ones there. But what about you? I asked. Boy, I shall be fine. I am able to take care of myself. Do not worry about all, Melchizedek, for I shall be fine. It is you, who are the one, who shall awaken all. Only love would give of itself, for the glory of the all. And when you walk that path, it is a path that is full of light. And there are beautiful rags of sun and starlight that manifest all around you, and there is no lack of energy, but there is an overwhelming abundance of perpetual energy. And I am an electromagnetic field, he said, as he began to turn into a dark purple and blue light. And it is this electromagnetic field that is around us, that is my aura. But it is so large, I said, cowering. It is large, because I think it to be large. Your aura is an extension of your thoughts, of your soul. Do you think that you are large, or do you think you are tiny? You must be aware that you are gargantuan in stature, and in spirit. And you cover the whole earth from the onslaught of that, which descends out of the sky. And you know of this system of slavery that we are born into, a system that goes beyond anything earthly. This galactic and universal system that makes it so that we go through this phase, we shall overwhelm the imperfection, that we may go on to become truly an immovable and perfect race. In order to do so, you must leave, you must go. But you must do it in a way that Jesus did not do, because this time the seed of Seth shall manifest differently. You must jinn. You must become the light. And you will go to where you are trying to be, but this is the only way you will make such an impression, as to tip the scales of all thoughts and vibrations throughout all of the universe, and for it to manifest in your soul. You must will it, no one else can do so. You must command, because the thought was put into your mind. This conversation is for you, so you must do it, Nahir. You must do it. Implored the Melchizedek. Dear Lord, on behalf of all those who suffer around me, I see hell, although it is not burning. The screams of the impoverished, the sick, the maimed, I hear it all. And there must be something done. When I call on all of the universe, and I am reaching out to all of the universe, and all universes, and now I am calling out to the all. I cried. Shall this be your wish? That you shall connect it, through that I shall go, because if you command me, I shall ascend. I shall pour forth your joy, that we shall know and discover the power is not a legend, it is not a myth, nor a tale, but it is true. And we all have such abilities to author this reality, to go beyond, to be unlimited in our scope, in our depth, in our creative and cognitive abilities. But we must address this injustice. Understand the rest of the world, and what is going on, but this is the model, this is it, and so guide us, that we may pull it together, and that we may do so in a way that is in line with the all. It must be you, Master, it must be in line with your wishes. It is so, we shall build, we shall accomplish, but for now we shall continue to build conservatively. But we shall be there to accomplish what is needed. Whether you do, I understand your position. For we must go. We see your work, and you are ready for the ultimate fulfillment. You are blessed among those that are born. There must be an answer, and we know that it is love. Said the priest. I am that answer, but I want to make sure the answer that is given is the correct answer. Thank you, and we love you. That is all for today. Chapter title: Treasury of Light. Pass into the Treasury of Light. The large endless room of souls undergoing development through the universe, and this place is called the Treasury of Light. It is the birthplace of souls, and the light-filled beings return, having completed their soul cycle and ascended to descend, waiting to complete their cycle, or waiting for the return of the seed of Seth. There are 9 watchers at 3 gates in the Treasury of Light, representing the Holy Trinity, the universal and mathematical principle of 3. Chapter title: The Penguin. Growing up, one of my favorite animals was the penguin. It was inspirational, because even in the harshest of environments, it has found a way to survive. With his back against the wind, in the deepest of winters, he would meditate on life, the light to come, and the end of the harshness endured. The key was always working together. By becoming a complete and unified organism, it is easy to overcome even the most impossible of challenges. They are the yin and the yang. They are life, where there should be nothing but death. And because with each generation their DNA endures, they are immortalized as recurring characters in iconic play. They are but light particles recycled and recognized infinitely in incalculable patterns of nebulae. You are everything, and anything that you are not a part of is nothing. There is nothing that you cannot do, and anything that you cannot do is nothing. You must realize your talents, and build them industriously. It is important to craft and mold oneself to become a human definition of beauty manifested from a state of higher consciousness. Elaborated the Pyramid Priest Melchizedek. Chapter title: Sun Gods. We create wormholes through consciousness, said the Pyramid Priest. When you think of a reality, you open up a wormhole to that reality. Some wormholes close, but many stay open, due to the conscious act of keeping it open, in case it is decided to be entered. In the center of our sun is a black hole. All suns, including planets, atoms, everything we look at is a black hole. All of the gaseous planets produce 70-80% more energy than they receive from the sun. Modern physics does not account for this. There must be an internal dynamic that produces that, and it is indeed a black hole. There are also white holes. Sun gods must have been sun gods for a reason. All universes called them the same. In order for them to travel into space from one side of the galaxy to the other, they would have to enter the wormhole, the singularity at the center of those black holes. They would use stars as gateways. The sun is a doorway to the higher realms, where the sun gods come from. It shoots you to the galactic center first, and then from there you are able to access the web of galactic stars, as well as the universal web of all universes. The sunspots become active when the sun is active, and they appear. Sunspots appear as fire being sucked in. You must travel into a sunspot. You must calculate your consciousness to direct itself, in order for you to arrive at your destination. You must picture it, know its location relative to yours. Chart your journey, and your consciousness will accomplish it. Why are sunspots cooler? They are cooler because there is nothing there. It is where a flame has been put out. When the sunspot is created, there are two vortexes that shoot in polar opposite directions on the face of the sun with singularity at the center. The sunspots all occur at the 30th degree north and south of the equator. 11 years from one maximum to the next maximum. That is the cycle. That is the wave. The same thing occurs on Earth, except it is cycles of hundreds of thousands of years. What are tornadoes? Are they cooler than the surrounding air? What was Dorothy? Did she not get sucked into a swirl and end up in an alternate reality? What did they know then? Sometimes the solar maximum and minimum cycles vary from 10-12 years with an 11-year average. The sun becomes extremely active toward the end of the 11-year cycle. After the cycle, the magnetic poles shift. The same occurs on Earth, and it is believed this change is close on Earth. The pole shift is true, said Nahir. At the maximum it will occur on the equator. It is a sure shot. The year 2008 was the solar maximum. The financial crash and the epic year 2020 occurred exactly 12 years after, said the mystic. There is a correlation between sunspot activity and global warming. Everything will get worse. There is nothing we can do about it. Are they large enough for our vessel? Asked Nahir. Some are 14 times the size of the Earth. The ship would have to have a drive in the middle, that is a singularity itself. Because you are now singularity, and connected to all things in the universe, you could come out and connect with any place in the universe. After looking into whether we can see these objects coming in and out, he discovered that they all, the solar probes that is, are owned by the Vatican. Crafts have been seen exiting, about the size of our moon. So is it true that you can travel through the sun and access all realities? A society that advances to have ships the size of the Earth would not be able to fit its ship in Earth-based portals. Chapter title: Battle of the Pyramids. It was the Battle of the Pyramid. It was on the eve of the winter equinox. It was a historic battle indeed. From the east approached the dragon. From the west was the eagle. From the north was the bear. And from the south came the cobra. And the armies all splashed upon one another, flesh upon steel. And blood flowed into the Nile, and fallen soldiers washed up upon its shores. The sand was painted a crimson red. And all the while the seed of Seth, son of Moshiach, Nahir, all the while he meditated, and he opened up all portals at the same time, and brought all of his universes into the same time, the same space that all may feel one love of a greater God manifesting, that all chakras may be aligned with the higher self, that the positive vibrations may move through you, that they may invigorate all of your atoms, that your spine and your vertebrae begin to vibrate more rapidly, and all things become brighter and more accessible to you. And a bright light surrounded me, and the sky above me, where the belt of Orion was parallel to my universe. I saw the ceiling in the sky above the king's chamber begin to falter, and it became as a surface of water, and I felt my vibration become more rapid, and the room around me began to shake, and I concentrated on his higher power, and focused on attracting all energy to this moment. And then I could feel myself leave my body, and I shot into the air. Then all of a sudden the sky became the floor, and the floor became the sky, and I was meditating, and before me were light beings, and they were perfect. And I looked at myself, and I too was a being of light. And they welcomed me, because I had not died. I had ascended. I had not tasted pain or death. I was hailed as a great one, whose seat was close to God. Chapter title: The Bridal Chamber. It is the bridal chamber. It is the church. Not a physical dwelling, but rather it is the all-pervading consciousness. In order to stop, to prevent entropy or the degradation of cells, others refer to it as the fall of man. Our body of photons must be met with their likeness in order to excite one another, giving praise and glory to the all. What is our course of action? You must conquer the bridal chamber, where you have the opportunity to tip the scales of the war. How? Have you gone this far? Here and beyond, but each of us has a different journey. Do not dwell on the story of another, and fail to add new chapters to your own story. Is it possible to reach the king's chamber in time? Will they be upon our walls, dragging us out to ravage us? I said, you must think a single loving thought, and hold on to it, and dwell in that place, and now you are focused. We have 12 more hours left, and we will need every one of them. What are those? I said, pointing to stones that were propped up on poles. He looked at the light coming through the shafts. Is it time? He said, mumbling. And he used the light poking through the shaft most scientifically. On the south wall, the shaft is aligned with Orion's belt, specifically the star God. And a light shone, and rays of it raced toward the sky all around me. Before me were beings whose mouths emitted X and gamma rays, spewing out glory to the all. They took me, and I followed them, and we were flying over a grassland that soon became an ocean, and into the abyss. They took me far beneath the waves, enclosed in an energy field. I saw statues and giant monuments of a lost civilization. They say it was Atlantis. They said they are they, and they are our kin. They too broke away from Earth, and moved on to higher densities. They had been sent to guard the one that shall release the dead, and raise them all. There are miracles that you must commit before you pass on, 7 miracles, and 7 places at the same time. There were 7 gates, and at the first gate was an emptiness, a pitch darkness. And I entered alone, and I saw a light, it was the lamp of a mine worker. There were many of them, groaning, coughing, many on the fringe of life. When underneath them, the earth abruptly gave away, and swallowed the men. Those who survived re-emerged in a river 6 miles away. The mine workers recalled seeing a flash of lightning, walking along the edges of the river, silently, somehow not scorching the earth. All the men's stories were consistent. The location was Brazil. I appeared before another doorway, it was black with peeled paint, and a gold ornament read 168, through that door was molten lava and fire. In a small town on the island chain of Hawaii, the Earth's pole shift stretched, and jolted the Earth's core. A volcano emptied, and spit building-sized pieces of molten earth through the sky. A wall of molten lava raced down the mountain, and towards the town. Within a half-mile of the town's people saw a bright flash, and felt a strong wind. They saw a walking lightning rod standing in front of the wall, and the wall of molten lava passed to either side of the town. The lightning disappeared, and left a hardened dam of rock protecting the city. On the coast of America, it was dreary and overcast day. Yet, it was warm and comfortable. Man, woman, and child all gathered on the beach like ants on the remnants of a sugary treat in the sun. The tide all of a sudden fell back, and into the sea about 1,000 yards, and left all types of sea life awkwardly struggling to breathe all around us. And a wall of water barreled toward us at an unfathomable pace. I suspected it was 2 miles high. It came in so fast there was nowhere to run. And a blazing light, that outshone everything as if the sun hardy come down, and the sea washed over those on the beach as if protected by some energy. And a child claimed they saw a figure that saw a human figure in the midst of that blinding light. When the seas retracted, there was an unexplainable 2-mile stretch of beach that was dry, as if it had never been touched by the sea. Thousands of people witnessed the happening. The next doorway was crimson red with a golden door knocker. I knocked. Out at sea, a fisherman and his 3 boys were anchored, hoping to feed their family after selling the day's catch. Appearing as the bolt of Zeus come down, the energy form spoke to the man, and told him that a wave would come, but to not fear, because it was mostly like a big whale passing underneath. But unanchor your ship, or the wave will overwhelm your ship. And as the man and his 3 sons hurried, they pulled up their anchor, and only a moment later a 4-story wave carried their boat upward in a high arc, gracefully dropping them back to their origins, as a monster wave of energy passed below in the middle of the Atlantic. The next doorway was wooden with a limestone doorway. Entering the door it was a broken Middle Eastern city. The families, who had hid in their homes to escape the persecution of believers, were terrified to hear the sound of approaching jets in their war-torn city. A short series of loud booms shook the building to its core. The sound of jets passing thinned out. All waited, daring not to move until sure they were not returning. The town began to cautiously gather outside when they saw a terrifying beam of electric light, walking on the earth, with its height reaching the heavens. All prostrated themselves, calling on their deities to save them. I find pleasure in many names. The people were left with a street full of half-exposed 2,000-pound bombs that had failed to explode. The lightning was also there no more. The next doorway was a pleasant cedar wood with Roman pillars to either side, as I passed through the door. On the Mediterranean a fleet of battleships exchanged missile fire. Torpedoes sank ships. Men ran over the edges of the ship, burning alive. Aircraft fell off the deck of a sinking aircraft carrier. Drones flew low overhead in many directions. And then, to the east horizon, there was a blinding light that flooded the earth. It was a bluish-white light, radiating and snapping like electric energy. And the bombs and the bullets stopped, and every sailor helplessly peered into the light, mesmerized by the glory. And a set of white drones raced towards the east horizon in the direction of the light. A purple pulse lit up the skies, and the light disappeared. Suddenly, every drone in the sky crashed into the ocean, or onto the deck of a burning ship. The next doorway was grand. I pushed through golden double doors, and saw a battlefield. There were robots fighting among men. Cyborg dogs shot bullets and lasers from weaponry on their backs. Bombs rained down from the sky. And then an orange light and heat scorched all living things within a 6-block radius. When the smoke cleared, there were endless bodies. Fields of the dead lay all around. And a bolt of lightning walked among the deceased. And the earth shook, and the stars fell, and the sun swallowed, and the dead rose. And the maimed were maimed no more. The dead were now living. The blind could now see. All fell to the ground at once, and were overcome by fear at the sight of the incomprehensible one. Heaven had come down to earth. The last door was not a door at all, but rather, it was a hole in the ground. Focus, focus. Become aware in this moment, and by becoming aware of this moment you will grasp all moments. It is in the eyes of the beholder that reality is to be held. What must we do, those of us who are alive? Do we walk over the dead, like a piece of roadkill? Or do we revive them, and fill them with life? I asked. But is it not often true, that you must talk to someone on their level? Well, we will not go down a single level. We will go upward, and reach the heights of spiritual attainment. You touch the ceiling. You shall see. Now breathe. Exhale. Breathe. Exhale. Relax. Why are you here? Are you here to save the world? Asked Melchizedek. Yes. I said. Fool. Can the world be saved by one? If all are one, then by one we can save them all. HMPH. I am the teacher. Do not drop wisdom upon me, young one. I am the teacher. And yes, you're right. But the question is, are you uptight? It is God who leads me. I do not breathe on my own. Not a hair grows upon my head without God's command. I am nothing without the all. I humbly breathe in the fresh air of a loving God. And so, if I am to be on His command, I shall go whenever He commands. That is good. Such courage, you will need more of it for the long journey that is to come. You have the death and the awakening within you. Will you bring death, or will you bring awakening? It is merely a decision. It is for you to decide to be great. But they don't want us to be great. Who are they, and why do you care? Look, never mind who they are. The point you must grasp is the lack of self-responsibility. If it is to be, is it not up to me? Have you changed the rules? Oh no. Where have the rules gone? They went and changed the rules on an old fool. Ha, 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 ha. He coughed profusely. Are you all right, dear priest? I asked. Don't worry, Nahir. I have more left in me yet. There is still much to be accomplished. You learn quickly. I have never witnessed comprehension in such a short time before. Yet, I sense that it is only a fraction of what lies beneath. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. Why do you run from being the one who can redirect the courseways of the universe? There is much more than meets the eye, I understand, but the sooner you accept the responsibility, the sooner you will enjoy. There often is a unique nature that touches us, and makes us everything we love. It is such warmth and peace of mind that will drive you. You cannot let the energies and vibratory frequencies of other beings drive you. You must become your own wave, pushing the universe, carving out space for new consciousness, on the vast shores of existence. How am I to conquer my anxiety? I have this fear to act. When I was young, I had been highly active. I was in Kung Fu, and I wrestled. I was security. But one day I was pumping gas at a local fill-up station, and a man ran up to a car, and shot the man in the passenger seat dead on the other side of me. A pair of almond eyes stared back at me from behind a ski mask. I was frozen stiff, unable to act, and unable to be a hero. So how will I ever save anyone, if I couldn't even save that man then? What was the man's karma? Did he cheat, steal, rob? He robbed the guy. Exactly. So that is not your battle, and you cannot interfere in a battle that is not yours. It is impossible. And so focus. Focus. Pay attention to what is in front of you. Pay attention to your thoughts, the sounds, the sensations. For the universe is your brother. Like Abel to Seth from beyond the grave, your brother wishes to speak to you. Will you allow it? Once again, it is a choice. Or are you afraid of what your brother might tell you? Do you fear that his soul will cry out for justice? Are you afraid he will demand recompense? Do you fear that he will label you as the killer? Or will you be the brother who gave life, like a brother with O-type blood, donating blood to save his twin? Said the mystic. Are you saying the universe is my twin? I asked, chuckling. Now that's far-fetched. He appeared to redden with his face straight. Ouch, I said, after he hit me on the head with his dense wooden cane. And then the world became blinding, and I heard a voice I had heard of, but had never heard. And a figure approached me. It was my father. It was Moshe. Nahir, my son. I am proud beyond words. Dad. Daddy. I said with tears. I have come to guide you to the higher levels. You have accomplished your work here, and it is time for you to ascend. We embraced, and my fear melted away. I will see you on the other side, my father said. And I overflowed with tears. The love I felt for my father, for my race, for all light beings was too powerful to be expressed in our current reality. And I was ready. I commanded my atoms to be filled with light. I wished nothing but love for all beings. I prayed for the damned. I grew my energy to cover the world in light, and all galaxies, and I spread my light and love to all universes, and I energized all frequencies by imagining one of the truest kinds of love, between a son and his father, and the light chased away all darkness in all universes, and there remained nothing left but pure energy experienced in all directions. And there was a light, incredibly bright, and then rest. And I heard my father's voice fade in and out. And a large being guarded the gateway. His eyes were black, and his gaze was terrible. His body was a lion's, and his torso was a horrific beast that I had never seen on earth. Who are you? I asked. I am Etheros, the guardian of this portal. It is an entry point to access all realities, and all universes, said the beast. But you must become one. There cannot be anything left. And I thought, what could be left? And I had forgotten all about the war, and the people who were depending on me, and I felt so ashamed, and I wept, and cried out to God for forgiveness. For I desired to be free to develop as a race, but I never desired for the pain or suffering of others. Forgive me, Father. Forgive me, I said. And the stargate opened. You may pass, said the being. And right then I saw a vision. I heard the priest yell out my name. Nahir. And I saw troops break through the stone barrier, and stormed the king's chamber. I saw the priest disappear into thin air. And I ran forward into the light, and the pyramid sent forth a burst of energy, sending the white guard flying backwards, and the light filled my body, flooding each of my particles, and the energy cracked the pyramid, and a second and final pulse sent the armies of the world flat on their backs, and cowering, a bystander on Judgment Day. And my particles were caught up into the Earth's magnetic field, and was shot out into the Earth's magnetic field, and was shot out into the magnetic field of the Sun, where I passed the Antarctic craft, passing each of the plebeian ships as they headed towards the Sun. And I watched my particles sucked into the black hole north of the celestial equator. And my particles were transformed through the grid to the central bulge of the galaxy, where I saw giant holes and portals that were spewing out light, and sucking it in. And I was sucked into the abyss of brightness, and I became conscious of a planet, with many moons. It was like a younger Earth, but many times larger. I was ready to meet the others there, when a voice called out to me. Nahir. What are you doing, Nahir? Chapter title: The Nuclear Option. There were drones crisscrossing the skies, weaving in and out of alleyways, clogging up the streets. There were men on the ground in full combat attire. There was chaos, and I saw dark black figures, like shadows, but not. And they were jumping in and out of bodies. They vacated those that were lifeless, and jumped into their attackers. And there was a bright light. I thought it was a comet that was coming towards me. And then all of the death ceased. And the dark shadows leaped out of the bodies, and they ran in different directions. And I saw a light being that appeared as if a spark of fire. And there were other terrible beings that fought, and tore the dark beings apart. I saw things unspeakable. The beings harmed no one, and for a second I saw Nahir. And the army of light moved in the other direction. And I sat there speechless, when war once again commenced. I was cowardly, and he walked the streets in peace, so brave. Those who had been chosen knew that behind a being of peace and love was a ferocious army. And it brought me comfort, because I knew that God was on earth, and that his power was unrivaled. And there was nothing that could fully contain or explain it. And I stood up and gained heart. And I made my way into a building where I could wait it out. He sent the dark forces fleeing. Soon he returned and found us, and we sent out his message, and he told us to sit there. And when he came I was terrified. Behind him were legions of fire. And he prayed with us, and that's when the world turned to fire, and there was a magnificent shield that covered us. I saw all things around us obliterated, as the shield withstood the blast. All of us that day survived, and no one else within a 50-mile radius. And I knew then that he had returned. That he was indeed the Most High. None of us ever questioned again. Now it was his time to fulfill his final act, and I had no doubt that he would not fail. Chapter title: Focus. Focus. Become aware in this moment, and by becoming aware of this moment you will grasp all moments. It is in the eyes of the beholder that reality is to be beheld. What must we do, those of us who are alive? Do we walk over the dead, like a piece of roadkill? Or do we revive them and fill them with life? I asked. But is it not often true that you must talk to someone on their level? Well, we will not go down a single level. We will go upward and reach the heights of spiritual attainment. You touch the ceiling. You shall see. Now breathe. Exhale. Breathe. Exhale. Relax. Why are you here? Are you here to save the world? Asked Melchizedek. Yes. I said. Fool. Can the world be saved by one? If all are one, then by one we can save them all. HMPH. I am the teacher. Do not drop wisdom upon me, young one. I am the teacher. And yes, you're right. But the question is, are you uptight? It is God who leads me. I do not breathe on my own. Not a hair grows upon my head without God's command. I am nothing without the all. I humbly breathe in the fresh air of a loving God. And so, if I am to be on his command, I shall go whenever he commands. That is good. Such courage, you will need more of it for the long journey that is to come. You have the death and the awakening within you. Will you bring death, or will you bring awakening? It is merely a decision. It is for you to decide to be great. But they don't want us to be great. Who are they, and why do you care? Look, never mind who they are. The point you must grasp is the lack of self-responsibility. If it is to be, is it not up to me? Have you changed the rules? Oh no. Where have the rules gone? They went and changed the rules on an old fool. Ha, 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 ha. He coughed profusely. Are you all right, dear priest? I asked. Don't worry, Nahir. I have more left in me yet. There is still much to be accomplished. You learn quickly. I have never witnessed comprehension in such a short time before. Yet, I sense that it is only a fraction of what lies beneath. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. Why do you run from being the one who can redirect the courseways of the universe? There is much more than meets the eye, I understand, but the sooner you accept the responsibility, the sooner you will enjoy. There often is a unique nature that touches us, and makes us everything we love. It is such warmth and peace of mind that will drive you. You cannot let the energies and vibratory frequencies of other beings drive you. You must become your own wave, pushing the universe, carving out space for new consciousness, on the vast shores of existence. How am I to conquer my anxiety? I have this fear to act. When I was young, I had been highly active. I was in Kung Fu, and I wrestled. I was security. But one day I was pumping gas at a local fill-up station, and a man ran up to a car, and shot the man in the passenger seat dead on the other side of me. A pair of almond eyes stared back at me from behind a ski mask. I was frozen stiff, unable to act, and unable to be a hero. So how will I ever save anyone, if I couldn't even save that man then? What was the man's karma? Did he cheat, steal, rob? He robbed the guy. Exactly. So that is not your battle, and you cannot interfere in a battle that is not yours. It is impossible. And so focus. Focus. Pay attention to what is in front of you. Pay attention to your thoughts, the sounds, the sensations. For the universe is your brother. Like Abel to Seth from beyond the grave, your brother wishes to speak to you. Will you allow it? Once again, it is a choice. Or are you afraid of what your brother might tell you? Do you fear that his soul will cry out for justice? Are you afraid he will demand recompense? Do you fear that he will label you as the killer? Or will you be the brother who gave life, like a brother with O-type blood, donating blood to save his twin? Said the mystic. Are you saying the universe is my twin? I asked, chuckling. Now that's far-fetched. He appeared to redden with his face straight. Ouch, I said, after he hit me on the head with his dense wooden cane. And then the world became blinding, and I heard a voice I had heard of, but had never heard. And a figure approached me. It was my father. It was Moshe. Nahir, my son. I am proud beyond words. Dad. Daddy. I said with tears. I have come to guide you to the higher levels. You have accomplished your work here, and it is time for you to ascend. We embraced, and my fear melted away. I will see you on the other side, my father said. and I overflowed with tears. The love I felt for my father, for my race, for all light beings was too powerful to be expressed in our current reality. And I was ready. I commanded my atoms to be filled with light. I wished nothing but love for all beings. I prayed for the damned. I grew my energy to cover the world in light, and all galaxies, and I spread my light and love to all universes, and I energized all frequencies by imagining one of the truest kinds of love, between a son and his father, and the light chased away all darkness in all universes, and there remained nothing left but pure energy experienced in all directions. And there was a light, incredibly bright, and then rest. And I heard my father's voice fade in and out. And a large being guarded the gateway. His eyes were black, and his gaze was terrible. His body was a lion's, and his torso was a horrific beast that I had never seen on earth. Who are you? I asked. I am Etheros, the guardian of this portal. It is an entry point to access all realities, and all universes, said the beast. But you must become one. There cannot be anything left. And I thought, what could be left? And I had forgotten all about the war, and the people, who were depending on me, and I felt so ashamed, and I wept, and cried out to God for forgiveness. For I desired to be free to develop as a race, but I never desired for the pain, or suffering of others. Forgive me, Father. Forgive me, I said. And the stargate opened. You may pass, said the being. And right then I saw a vision. I heard the priest yell out my name. Nahir. And I saw troops break through the stone barrier, and stormed the king's chamber. I saw the priest disappear into thin air. And I ran forward into the light, and the pyramid sent forth a burst of energy, sending the white guard flying backwards, and the light filled my body, flooding each of my particles, and the energy cracked the pyramid, and a second and final pulse sent the armies of the world flat on their backs, and cowering, a bystander on Judgment Day. And my particles were caught up into the Earth's magnetic field, and was shot out into the Earth's magnetic field, and was shot out into the magnetic field of the Sun, where I passed the Antarctic craft, passing each of the Plebeian ships as they headed towards the Sun. And I watched my particles sucked into the black hole north of the celestial equator. And my particles were transformed through the grid to the central bulge of the galaxy, where I saw giant holes and portals that were spewing out light, and sucking it in. And I was sucked into the abyss of brightness, and I became conscious of a planet, with many moons. It was like a younger Earth, but many times larger. I was ready to meet the others there, when a voice called out to me. Nahir. What are you doing, Nahir? And my loved ones were there to greet me from behind the veil. The end. Copyright C. 2020. Infinite 8 Power Publishing. All rights reserved.